I've seen the future.
Hey everybody, it's Colette, Baron-Reid. Welcome to this week's Oracle card guidance and lesson for the week of July the 24th. Now, I just gotta say how awesome it is that the past few weeks when I've asked you to choose your own cards and kind of tell the whole story, not just the universal cards, the prescription for everybody, but then you added your own piece to see how all the cards fit together. It was awesome. See how accurate it can be when you use Oracle cards as an instrument of divine dialogue. And you're not predicting the future. What you're doing is you're creating the future. You're learning to track your energy and you're seeing how you can behave, think, feel, believe, act, and co-create for the highest good based on the point of vantage of what we're talking about when I begin this conversation. So here's how we're doing it this week. 4 cards are going to start the conversation. They're going to be from Wisdom of the Oracle. They're going to give us the prescription of how we're working with the energy, every one of us this week, and how to cope, etc. Because it's, we just had a new moon in Leo, so things are new and they're exciting and they're changing. And then what I'm going to do is top it all off with 1 card only from the Good Tarot, which is going to give us an affirmation of how to navigate the energy very specifically this week as well. Okay, so this is a very practical week, I like to say, because the cards alone are saying, like, here's how really it should be done. First card is building blocks. This is a card that reminds us that the firm foundation of everything that we do has to come from integrity. What are your values? The kind of questions we have to ask ourselves are, am I in my integrity? Are my motives clean? Or am I being the best version of myself that I can? And is this in the highest good when I make this choice? Am I being conscious and deliberate of the things that I choose, or am I just going like blah, 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 and just doing anything? So this is asking us to be solid, right? Like, what does solid mean to you? Like, my husband is a guy that I always say he's a solid guy. He's a good man because everything he does is very thoughtful. It just always is, even when he's being boo-boo. So are you being thoughtful? These are the kind of questions to ask. Am I being thoughtful? Am I taking others' feelings into consideration? Are the choices that I'm making going to really make me feel that I have integrity and I'm proud of where I'm coming from? Okay, so that's where we start. Second card is the Observer. Don't take this world personally. This is a really crucial card because so many of us see the world as happening at us and we take everything personally. We think it's about us. It's like, oh my God, this thing happened to me. Or you made me mad, so therefore I'm reacting this way. Or, or you've carried a story forever and you're still like creating the same storyline and like, going blah, 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 blah. But the whole truth is that the world is not personal, and that even if it feels like it is, if we can step out of it, wear the world loosely around our shoulders, and realize that, I'm a player here. I weave my pattern into the fabric of reality, and no thread is separate from the others. What is my purpose? What am I best to, how can I best serve? And can I detach and not allow myself to be too engaged with whatever pulsing activity is that's going around me and saying, well, that's interesting. And that's what we teach in Oracle School. That's our favorite line in Oracle School, is always like, that's interesting, instead of like, oh, it's about me or you or whatever, right? So the Observer is the card this week that's gonna save all our butts. Okay. So then we have TikTok. Now, TikTok is the card that represents divine timing. It also represents the ego's need for everything to happen the way you want it, when you want it, how you want it, now, blah, blah, blah. And I wonder if any of you can relate to this when your clock is ticking. Like, when am I gonna get what I want? And so that is something to be very conscious of this week. That in fact, we're not here for a race. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And there is always enough time. I saw this amazing little book, a friend sent it to me for my birthday, and I opened it up in a page and says, if you say that you don't have time, ask yourself how much time you're spending on Facebook and television, and then you realize you have tons of time. So it's little things like that. Say to yourself like, okay, what am I committed to? Also, how much time, which is the TikTok, are we spending taking the world personally? So that's the other thing, right? Build blocks solidly with integrity and being really conscious, deliberate, and present, and grateful and happy, and kind of, giving yourself a bit of a seal, like there's a seal now. We have to get a little bit more clear about what we're willing to bring into our world and what we have to say no to, right? And now the last card I love, it's a card, breathe. Now, I love that it's after TikTok, because it tells us, we just came from this idea that, oh my God, what if there's not enough time? Saying like, wow, we have all the time in the world. And also when the TikTok card comes there, it says we're actually in perfect timing. And even our growth. I love, I saw on Danielle Laporte's website the other day, a little signal that she said, you're not always self-sabotaging when you're stumbling over something. And that's the other thing to remember too. It's like, there's no race. If you stumble and you have to course correct, you have to look at it like just the detour that had to happen in order for you to get to where you want to go. So just breathe. Breathe, 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 breathe. We are all worthy. We are all blessed. And we don't have a map. That's the other thing. If we try to build a house on the architecture of something that came before, we might be missing something. Like, what if we took a 17th century architectural build for our life today? It wouldn't have a toilet. Well, maybe it might, but it might have an outhouse. It wouldn't have air conditioning, right? So like the old maps and the old architectural, structures that we would want to build our life on, well, they may not fit our current state of being. So we have to remember that. And interestingly enough, I'm going to read this because I always read the Good Tarot. This is always really important. One day I'm going to have a nice little booklet made that's nicer than this one. But anyhow, this is the one you get in the box. So here's our affirmation for the week, right? And remember, think about this. We don't really know the map. We may need extra rooms in the new home that we're building to house our beliefs and our dreams and the life that we want to weave into the fabric of reality. I really believe that, we'll actually discover more if we throw away the old map and trust. But who are we trusting? What does that mean? What is it? We can't trust our ego because we are either going to edge God out most of the time, or the ego, the integrated ego, the ego and the soul that gets into partnership, then eases God's order. Here's how we ease God's order here. The High Priestess, Mystery, one of my favorite cards. Ta-da, well, you'll see it. It'll be flipping here somewhere. Some things are not meant to be known intellectually, but are meant to be experienced through intuition. This card reminds me to trust that I have access to higher wisdom and knowing when I tune in and trust my vibes. This is the time when mysteries will be revealed and I can grow as a result. Now I want to talk about this because a lot of people think, intuition is the domain of psychics and you have to be an intuitive or a healer or something totally woo-woo. And you don't. Every single person has access to intuition. It is our primary number one sense. We make it the sixth sense just because we have fostered a concept that intellect and reason should oversee or supersede any other instinct that we have. And that served us for a while, but now that part of us has atrophied. So every one of us has intuition, we just need to practice. And so when you use oracle cards, it's like going to the intuition gym. Every time you start to see those symbols and you start to ignite something in you, this magic starts to go like, ooh, I know something meaningful is here. And you can't make this up. So you start to realize like, oh wait, okay, so my intuition says this. Now I also want to talk to you guys, the lesson here is understanding the difference between intuition and when your ego is projecting stuff onto the world, saying that, I intuitively feel this is what's going on, when really your wound is saying, I want to get what I want, when I want, how I want it, and I'm going to say it's my intuition, right? You got to know the difference between the two. Intuition is calm. It feels like breathing. It's just the truth, and it will never feel retaliatory. It will never feel angry or angsty or edgy. It will feel just is. It sometimes doesn't make sense, but will never have any kind of edgy energy around it. It will just be. And when your intuition is on, Your body feels relaxed. It's never going to force you into anything because we don't need to, because our universe is connected. We are conditioned to see the world through the lens of separation. Working with oracle cards, doing these lessons with me every week, trying them out for you to, for free. Remember that. We've got an app on my website. Go do your own cards, come back, put your 3 in there and see how the storyline went for the week. It's a way for us to recognize that there is a force, a conscious universe that gets to use something, which we put up, it's an instrument, and finds a way to communicate with us through these symbols and images and metaphors that the cards actually present to you. That's the lexicon, that's the language. Those are the words you get to use, just like we speak English. And the soul, spirit, the conscious universe doesn't speak English or German or Spanish or Japanese. It speaks pictures, images, symbols, and feelings. Because when your intuition is on, you are connected. You would never, ever, ever look to separate anything from that position, right? So just remember, if you're not coming from that, it's okay. You just have to say, ooh, that's not right. My intuition comes from here. It's a calm, still, small voice that we can listen to. That whisper gets louder and louder the more you use oracle cards. All right, guys, I'm so happy to be here every week with you. I will see you next week. And if you like this video, well, subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to leave a comment underneath it and like the video. Of course, you have to like the actual video. And share it with your friends and get going in here. Talk with each other because every time you post, you become an oracle for somebody else. So my 4 cards sets the tone for the week and your 3 cards or 1 card or whatever it is that you choose to post under here could end up really changing somebody else because they may speak not just to you, but to someone else who needs help in that moment and needs to know without knowing intellectually that Spirit's there for them. And that's what oracle cards are all about. See you soon.
I've seen the future. It's beautiful.